Oh my goodness. Hello, friends. Hello and welcome to the Deep Night. We're coming to you on the live stream, being broadcast from that which connects us all, the foul banks of the Gowanus Canal. And when you live this close to a Superfund site, mask wearing is never an option. Right? You have to wear one. Now, I'm Dale Seever, and I am your host, guide, and guru through this next hour of regrets and revelations. This mask that I was wearing was made for me by the great Leah Tanari, and it is as disturbing as it is practical. Now, here at Deep Night HQ, oh, we have all the comforts of quarantine. Helicopters circling above, fireworks nonstop from sundown to sunup, and a nagging feeling that nothing's ever going to change. But I'm trying to remain optimistic and hopeful and positive. I really am. Every day I get up around 11, and that's after I get to sleep around 4 a.m. And I try to focus on my breathing. And if it's a little bit shallow, well, then I start to think, oh my gosh, do I have it? But then I remember, I haven't been outside in 4 months other than to run out and grab a package of yeast and some light bulbs and to have a good cry on the sidewalk. So chances are it's probably just allergies, right? Now, I do want to address my fellow wellness influencers out there. We're a mighty force in this country, a billion-dollar industry of incense, diffusers, and mugs that change color when you pour matcha into them. And you see, but posting one black square on your Instagram, then going back to yoga selfies, it's probably not the best expression of your commitment to racial and social justice. I like seeing people drinking mushroom tea from the back of a camper van, or I like seeing blow up pictures of dream catchers with a text over it that says something with a misattributed quote like, you miss 100% of the dreams you don't catch, which is definitely not by James Baldwin, by the way. But if your feed is all that and then one black square, oh, do better. Do better. Consider that black square a void of your own understanding, right? And fill that void with compassion and advocacy and action. Why not? We don't need to have that big gaping hole there. You can do better. And now I feel like I'm influencing wellness instead of the other way around, and that feels good. But now we have to get on with things. We have to get on with things because we only have this space for an hour or so, as my wife Galinda needs the room for her midsummer planning committee. I gather her friend Donna Otter used to work at Pier 1 before that went under, and she has just a garage full of wicker furniture that they're eager to turn into a burnable effigy of the patriarchy. Now, I suggested maybe we just go hold hands at the IKEA parking lot and share our feelings, but they're pretty into this Wicker Man thing, so we'll let them do it. Now, we do have to honor the solstice. It's coming up. We're going to honor it tonight, although if ever there was a year that didn't need a day that was a little bit longer, 2020 is it. What do we need, an extra hour to enjoy murder hornets? Like a little extra time to watch a round boy not wear a mask as he sips from a beer? Oh, no, I think we'll probably be okay without that. Listen, we have a great show for you tonight. We got some amazing guests. But first, I'd like to check in with our musical guest for the evening. Jen Mundia is here. Jen, are you there?
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing okay. And it looks like you're in a very comfortable situation there.
Yes, welcome to my bedroom.
Yes, a very intimate situation. Now, as I understand it, you're going to be doing a new song tonight later?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. And are you you're performing under a different name?
Yeah. So, Drop to Do project. The artist name is Esabalu, and
Sabalu.
new single came out Monday, and the music video dropped today.
That's terribly exciting. And we'll try to keep two different identities in a together. I gather it could be confusing, though I have no experience with it myself. All right. Now, I brought you in first because I wonder if you could do me a favor to play a little bit of sitting down music. I'll get back up and then sit back down. And if you can play me something just low and slow, like a cicada emerging out of the ground after 17 years, looking around and thinking, nope, not this year, and going back in.
Okay. Why don't you come on over, Valerie? Slower. Valerie. There you go. Valerie. Valerie.
Oh, gosh, that was wonderful, Jen. Perfect. Very good sitting down music. So you'll be back in a bit with this new song, New Identity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And listen, our thanks to Shannon at Good Orbit for producing the show tonight. Now, let's get to this. Our first guest is a very funny comedian based in Chicago. She's been part of the Onion Comedy and Arts Fest, the Lady Laughs Festival. She ran quite a few shows out there, including Just Us Gals. She's open for some great people. Here she is, Claire Austen-Smith. Claire.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hello, how are you faring?
Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's finally got nice out in Chicago, and I feel like, it's nice to see that. I guess that my words fail me.
Yes, well, it can be difficult. But Chicago, a place where I've had many a weird night, often brought on by some old style.
Mhm.
For a time, it was influenced by a very ill-advised mustache. And, whenever the evening ends up with me crying outside of a rainforest cafe, I know I'm in Chicago.
Well, there you go. And you made it downtown. That's where the Rainforest Cafe is. You're in the
Yes.
loop. So something must have gone wrong.
Oh, it went very wrong, Claire. Now, how are your preparations for the solstice going?
Well, it's funny you bring this up because my mom is an artist and she dyes textiles and makes a lot of abstract vagina imagery in her work. And I guarantee you she's having like a women's group going down to having a socially distanced fire by the lake for the solstice whenever. Is that coming up soon? Should I know this?
Yes, this weekend. Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, that's happening this weekend. She does it every year.
You have to. My gosh. I mean, if you're involved in that sort of enterprise with vaginal sculptures and fires down by the water, that's an annual occurrence as far as I'm concerned.
You really can't afford to skip it.
No, no, you can't. Now, do you go to that kind of a thing?
No, I let her do her own thing. I'll do my own. I don't know. I like the solstice. I think it's cool. I don't want to hang out with my mom's book club friends and like get topless.
No. Yes. Have you ever been at a party where you thought, gosh, this scene is just not for me, but you stick around anyway to see how it turns out?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of become a weird voyeur. You're like, I don't really want to talk to anybody, but I just kind of want to see.
Right. Just see how this pans out with these ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you grow up around that kind of thing? Was always this ritual?
Well, my mom's always been like a new agey, like the Miss of Avalon, like had books about Wicca. She describes herself as a recovering Catholic. So I feel like she's just gone full, like, shiatsu massage therapist, Chinese medicine sort of hippie lady, which is great. I'm happy for her.
Yeah, and the clothing, we don't have to make it all about your mother, but she's dying.
It already is. No.
The clothing, is it with textiles? Is that what she's doing? She's doing tie-dye, that kind of thing?
Kind of. Well, she does like wall hangings and quilts and silk screen. So she'll silk screen her fabric and like sew it into a wall hanging. It's kind of abstract.
Yeah, still with lady parts or anything?
It's like, she's expanded, but there's a lot of like diamonds and oval shapes that you can kind of see where she's going in like the vaginal imagery way, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's good to keep it active,
Yeah.
manifest some
Mhm.
powerful female energy. It's always needed. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, speaking of female energy, is because you've made such funny videos recently. Some of them maybe expressing a little bit of loneliness in quarantine. Are you lonely there? Is it?
Well, you mean the one where it was like, if someone broke into my house, I'd ask them to stay?
Yes, you were happy to be burgled.
Yeah, so happy to be burgled to see another human face. Well, I have to say, lonely feels like a stretch because I am at my parents' house. So I have been around people, which is, great, but I've never been more conscious of the generational divide until spending 4 months at home.
Yes, and yeah, can really bring some old feelings back to the surface, I bet.
Oh, totally.
Yes, but it's fun to process things. Now, you also have been doing these you have a show that gives advice.
Yeah.
And explain that to me, because people call in.
So, well, that's my dream. I would love to, have this sort of fan base to people who would call in for my advice or audio record it. It would be very cool. But I ask people to send me, and whoever my host is, messages, usually on social media, and then we read them and answer them on the show.
And what has been some of the questions that you've had to field?
So we've gone a really big range. I think one of my favorites was someone saying that every time they pee, they can't not pee on themselves, and like what to do. And I couldn't really have we struggled with that question because we had so many more questions from that, like angles, what kind of toilet, like how are you standing,
Yes.
how much water are you drinking, like what's your pelvic floor tone like, there's like kind of a lot of variables in that one.
That's always my first question when I meet somebody. What is your pelvic tone?
What is your pelvic tone? Everyone needs to talk more about their pelvic floor. And this way you can kind of see how I'm kind of regressing becoming my mother.
Right. Right. But do you feel naturally inclined to teach, to give advice?
It feels narcissistic to say that, but I do love giving advice. And when I was growing up, I used to love reading the like Dear Abby or Ann Landers in the newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought it was fascinating. And I always toyed around with the idea of like an advice column before I was doing comedy. And so when, the quarantine started, it felt like a natural progression to kind of take that old interest. And then the format works nicely for not being able to be around people, I think.
Yes. And what do you think is the best advice you've ever gotten?
Oh my God, go to therapy, probably.
It's valid.
It's broad. It like applies to, all aspects of your life from there.
Yeah. No, that's a good, that's kind of a gateway advice, I think. Is solid. Now, did I have it correct that you were once a teacher, though, or you maybe still are, and you taught sexual education?
Yeah, so I wasn't a straight up teacher. I worked for a nonprofit, and I trained college students to teach sexual health education to 9th graders. So I kind of managed them in the classroom and would go. So it was like I taught the teacher, I suppose. And then sometimes if I was in a classroom and like the kids were rowdy or there was a volunteer that didn't show up, I would actually teach the workshop. But that wasn't all my day to day, but essentially that. Mm-hmm.
It's such important work. And I remember vividly my, middle school talk there. They brought all the fellas into the gym, and the gym teacher said, put some questions on a piece of paper, and then he put them in a hat.
Mm-hmm.
And then he pulled out the question. And the first question, I won't tell you what it was, but it involved being intimate with a farm animal. And after that, he put the thing back and set the hat aside and made us go run laps. And that concluded all of my sex education.
You really got what you needed from that. It sounds like you kind of learned a lot.
I did. And then the rest I picked up in the streets.
Yeah, it's like so everyone's got to pick up something from the streets, I think. Even if you have a progressive sex education, it's like you got to be able to put that knowledge into action, which I think is the failing of most sexual health education programs. They don't want kids to do that, but teens are going to do it with each other.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I also lived in a few communes, so you pick things up here and there. So,
it's part of the culture.
That's right. I'm a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
Well, what advice would you give me if I was considering dumping all of my crystals into a river?
I would say, well, one, like, don't litter. Don't make the crystals the litter.
Yeah.
Do they fit into the environment? You know?
I thought they were natural rocks anyway, so I did not consider the litter angle of this.
Well, if I have to tell you, if I found an amethyst floating in the Chicago River, I would be scared.
You would be
like,
scared.
I would be like, how did this get here? It looks pretty and clean and like not polluted.
Yeah. See, but you're attuned to nature, I can tell.
Okay. Is it the overalls?
Yeah, I think so. There's
All
a
right.
definite farmer vibe.
Yeah, I'm going for it.
It's very nice. This is, and do you get into that? Are you going to have some candles around? Do you have some chakra t-shirts or anything?
No chakra t-shirts, but I do have some candles around somewhere, and I've been known to build an altar or two in my day.
Yeah, yeah. It's such a great scene out there in Chicago right now, too, isn't there? So many I mean, a lot of them have moved out and they're around the country, but they started there in Chicago. It's a great scene that you've been a part of, I think, too.
I do love doing comedy here. I feel like coming up in Chicago is so wonderful because it is smaller, which of course is, nowhere is perfect, but I do feel like there can be a sense of community, and at least doing stand-up, I really like being free of kind of the theater system where I don't have to do stand-up like at a specific building or anything like that.
Yes. And what's the one thing you're going to run out and do once this is all over?
Oh my God, I want to go to the Hideout and I want to drink a glass of white wine.
Sounds
very
good.
basic, but I do love the Hideout.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful idea. And, if I'm ever there, I'd love to maybe meet up at the Wiener Circle,
oh my God, of course.
snap a selfie at the Bean, and, just kind of hang out there. You're going to be doing any shows, anything coming up?
I actually don't. I kind of put my show on hold in the last couple of weeks. I just haven't felt that motivated. But yeah, so I guess no is the short answer to that question.
That's okay. Valid.
Yeah, it's like no one needs my POV right now, and that's okay.
Well, I'm glad that you were here to share it with us, and this has been a delight, Claire. Thank you so much for being here. Maybe we'll call into your advice show too. That would be great.
Oh, I love to dive deeper into the crystals.
Yeah, and maybe just snap a picture of the ritual down at the lake. You don't have to spend a lot of time, but I'd love to see it.
I'll get some behind the scenes footage for you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, happy solstice to you, Claire Austen-Smith. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
Delightful. Wonderful. Okay. Well, our next guest, involved in a great many projects, from restaurants to comedy and now dating. Let's get into it with comedian and co-host of the Feeling Asian podcast, Youngmi Mayer. Youngmi.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. You're in a very evocative and pink place.
Yeah, I'm at work.
Oh, terrific. Now,
Sexy.
what is the work?
So I own a restaurant and it recently reopened.
Oh, well,
and so I'm here working.
Well, that's great. You're an essential part of the city, and I hope that you're able to move some units.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing takeout and delivery right now, which has been kind of exciting. It's kind of weird because there's no more service involved. It's just like handing little bags and then stepping away from a window.
Right. Now, we don't have to say exactly where it is if you don't want to, but I believe I've been to the restaurant, and my mouth has never been more tingly than when I went there. There's a pepper involved in some of the dishes you have.
Yeah, it's I'm totally open to say it. It's called Mission Chinese Food. I'm in the one in the Lower East Side right now, but we also have one in Bushwick, and we are known to really love using the Szechuan peppercorn. That's what you're talking about.
What is it about that pepper that makes your mouth be set in such a way where all of your nerve endings are kind of exposed?
I don't know. It's like it's like just a type of spice, like when you eat wasabi or hot mustard, that's like just a specific type of spice. Szechuan peppercorn has like a numbing, they call it like a tingly effect. I feel like it makes you horny.
Oh, well, that's a nice little addition.
Me personally.
I wish I knew that going in.
Well, now
I
you
wi-
know.
Now I know. I was focused on the wrong sensations, which often happens. So you're back there. You're getting it now. I understand that you also have started with this dating program
Yes.
on Instagram.
Yep. So, I'm single. I'm famously single, I would say. Meaning I'm not famous, but I like talking about it all the time. And so I was like, when all this quarantine started, I was like, how am I going to go on my chaotic hot mess dates? How is anyone going to be a hot mess? And me and my fellow comedian friend Antri were discussing like the future of dating, and we were like, oh, what if we like hook people up over Instagram Live, like people who don't know each other and they just
Yes.
met each other for the first time in front of everyone on Instagram Live. And so we started this Instagram account called Insta Date Live.
And how is it going so far? Do people respond well to that, to being in that environment?
Yeah, people really like watching it because like we have like regular like viewers that will come and like leave really funny comments, and they sort of roast the people that go on dates. The daters themselves, some people
Yes.
get really, really nervous. And then some people get really, really drunk, which is interesting. But then sometimes people have like real connections, and they like, because I text them afterward and I talk to them and they're like, oh, I really want to meet this person or see this person again. So sometimes it works out, weirdly enough.
I would imagine so. And you'd
Yeah.
think that more people would do this kind of thing, because I remember the days of online dating. You never really knew what you were getting into there. But
Yeah.
this is a nice introduction without having to leave your house. There's no like real safety issue, I would think, which is probably good.
Yeah. And also I try to, because I match make too, which is weird because I don't really know what I'm doing. But for a lot of times it does work out. Like I just go on vibes and like
Yes.
general interests, and it
Yeah.
does work out. Yeah.
I think that we have to listen to the vibes a little bit more.
The intuition.
Yeah, we've lost that
Yep.
somewhere along the way, but
Yeah, I
especially in
agree.
matters of the heart. It's true. And have you
Yeah.
yourself gone on any of these kind of dates?
Okay, so I went on one like Zoom date, and it went okay, but I did get really, really drunk because I think I was really nervous. And then it was weird because then I was like, okay, good night. And then I turned off the screen. And then I was like sitting in my bedroom, like drunk. And I was like, what is this? It felt very bizarre.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah. But it was
Just awkward
fun.
with yourself.
Yeah.
My goodness.
All alone.
But now you could you could send over some of the pepper in a dish.
Oh yeah.
Maybe ahead of time.
What about you? Are you single?
No.
Okay.
I am. I only did the online dating for a brief period of time there after my first wife. When we broke up. But no, I'm married to a wonderful lady named Galinda. She's an energy healer, and together we have a little yoga studio near the Gowanus, and we sell all sorts of homemade essential oil. You know, I think I might put some of that pepper in an essential oil.
You should. It would be like a good massage thing, I think.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes, full body tingles.
Yes.
I'm liking that.
I like that.
And then the podcast, you talk about feelings. Is that it? Speaking of intuitions.
I also have a podcast. Oh my God, I am doing way too much. I'm doing so much and nobody wants anything to do with it. So I have
the feeling.
So I have a podcast. It's about me and my co-host Brian Park, who is also a comedian. We talk about being Asian, and we talk about being the children of immigrants, and we talk about our mental health, which is kind of taboo in our culture.
Oh, is that true? There's not a lot of talking about what's going on inside.
Yeah, I like in Asian cultures in general, it's pretty taboo. It's like not something that people discuss openly. Of course, that's kind of a stereotype and a generalization, and it's changing now. But I mean, even now we talk about stuff that I feel like a lot of a lot of my friends talk about openly, and we'll get listeners that DM me and tell me that they've never heard anyone talking about something like that, you know? And it gets
Yeah.
kind of deep, but you know, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's really sad, you know.
That's life. That is the work, isn't it? You have to
That's the
dig in there.
sauce. Yep.
That's the sauce. Now,
I call that the pulsation.
see, I like this. I like the pulsation is a good word for it. Intuition, all of these things. And especially now around the solstice, we're amplifying all of those feelings within ourselves, trying to get attuned to the
Yeah.
cosmic vibrations out there. Have you ever been to a psychic?
I have. Okay, so this is the thing. I think I am a psychic.
Yeah.
I see ghosts.
Yeah.
I see, so I've been, but you know, there's a big part of me that I'm like big into like science and things making sense. So I kind of shy away from saying things like that. But recently I've been like, no, maybe I should explore this. But I have not been to an actual psychic. No.
Okay. How about a haunted house?
Like I said, I see ghosts all the time. So
All the time.
I see them all the time.
Huh.
Yeah.
Like walking down the street.
Well, it used to just be like, it would just happen every once in a while. And I would be like, okay, I would just like ignore it or think that I saw something out of the corner of my eye. And then now I'm like fully embracing it. So if it happens, I'm like, oh, maybe this is what it is.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I would think being quarantined in a haunted house would be pretty tough.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like I see them everywhere. So it's like everything is haunted.
Oh, well, that's even worse. No, but maybe it's okay. Maybe if they're, I mean, seeing ancestors is not necessary. Not all ghosts are bad. Listen, not all ghosts are bad.
Yeah. I mean, none of them have been bad experiences.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Listen, I like honoring our spirits, our forefathers. Let's think of it that way. And for people, for mothers, all of them.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, good. Sometimes I get down a little path. Anyhow, well, Young Me, you're going to be doing the Insta-Date live show continues. The podcast continues. You got the restaurant open. Things are moving forward for you. And I hope they continue. I know that they're going to do that and that you'll do well with them. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And I hope that the visits are positive and that all continues in that positive direction. And we'll find you again somewhere on Instagram or something, or we'll come by the restaurant. Yeah, come by. Get some tingles. I'll be here. All right. Young Me Mayor, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Bye. Well, now we're talking about our feelings and spirits and all of that. It's time to bring back our musical guest for the evening, Jen Mundia. Jen. There she is. All right. Or should I say Esabalu? Yeah, nailed it. Look at you. You're regular Kenyan. Look at you. Well, thank you very much. And what is the origin of Esabalu? So that is the village where my grandmother is. And it's my parents have an orphanage there for underprivileged children in Kenya. Wonderful. I'm grabbing that name and taking all of that energy and my artistry. Yeah. Yes, we honor those who came before. Well, that's beautiful. Now you're going to sing a song for us, and I'll let you do it. If you need to introduce it, by all means, go forward. Yeah, I'm just going to get into it. This is the new single Wildfire, dropped on Monday. Music video's out today. Go check it out. I hope you like it. All right. I don't have to close my eyes to see a dream in you. I won't let a day go by without getting some from you. The perfect rendezvous. We can't run from what we've done. We can't shun what we call love. It's rushing in, so let it flow. Brace yourself for when it comes. Wildfire, I don't want to get away from loving you. I wouldn't be running if I only knew. I can't stop loving you if I wanted to.
You don't have to change my mind. You're the perfect point of view. Even if it was a crime, I would do the time for you. 'Cause you would never waste my time. You were worth it every time. Oh, we won't last if we're apart. This is where our story starts. Wildfire, I don't want to get away from loving you. I would dip be running if I only knew that I can't stop loving you if I wanted to. Wildfire, I don't want to get away from loving you. I would dip be running if I only knew that I can't stop loving you if I wanted to. Our love spread like a wildfire. If you wanna go, baby, catch the flame and we'll ignite. If you wanna find love spreading like a wildfire, we were on a roll, baby, we gon' have to go. Wildfire, I don't wanna get away from loving you. I would dip be running if I only knew that I can't stop loving you if I wanted to. Wildfire, I don't wanna get away from loving you. I would dip be running if I only knew that I can't stop loving you if I wanted to.
Esabalu, wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And people, you said you could get the album or you can get that single somewhere?
Yep, it's on Spotify right now, iTunes, Apple Music, all that good stuff. And I'm at Asabala Music on Instagram.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. It was
Thank
wonderful. All right. Terrific. My goodness. Okay. Well, our next guest is making a return appearance with us here on The Deep Night. One of my favorite comedians out there. She's been on Comedy Central, MTV, CISO. You understand, before Quibi, there was CISO. She was a Just for Laughs new face. She's got a new album out right now called Chanel Number One, Chanel Ali. Whoop.
Hi.
There we go. Hello. I can hear you.
Hi. We did it.
It's wonderful. Chanel.
I missed your voice, Dale. I tell you, you could teach a class called Potions. I'd take it twice.
Well, I'm jotting that down and we'll do it. It's all about follow through, though, isn't it? Chanel, congratulations on the new album. It's absolutely terrific. Very funny.
Thank you so much. I didn't plan to release an album during a pandemic/civil rights movement, but I do think that my curly hair is timely. I think it's okay. So I'm really happy to start my comedy legacy here. And my album is on Napster. Can you believe that?
Napster?
Didn't even know it still existed. They put my album on it. If I could go back in time and tell 13-year-old Chanel, one day your stuff's going to be on Napster.
Wow. That's almost like being on LimeWire.
Because it's crazy.
Wow. I'll get a zip disk and put all the music I've downloaded. Well, that's terribly exciting. That's good. Now, you are, I thought you were going to be in Brooklyn, and then you popped up, and now you're in some kind of lodge.
Yes, I'm up in the woods of Pocono, Pennsylvania. I decided to get out of New York almost 4 months ago, mostly because all the comedy clubs closed. And I was like, well, I don't see what I need to be here for.
But you haven't been doing comedy there, have you?
I have been doing comedy here. I've been doing it from this very spot on apps like this one.
Yes.
Watching people say LOL in the comment box feels terrible. I hate it.
I can imagine. Although that would be great if I could see just one. But do you see? Because I thought when you were in New York, you had a kind of roommate situation, so I would imagine that would be tough to do a lot of Zoom things with them. But is you have a little bit of privacy there in the Poconos?
Yes, I do. Much more so than I did in New York because I had 3 male roommates and they were all also comedians.
Ugh.
Fight
Yeah.
for stage time in your own home. Like, who needs that type of drama? But yeah, now I have way too much space, a very big house that just me and my boyfriend and his dog are occupying. And it just seems like every day we become 10 years older. It seems like we're watching fish and just, cleaning things. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, are you able to get out into nature? Are you near a lake or something?
Yes. There's a lot of nature everywhere. We see deer every day. I saw a snake today. I saw a snake, took a picture of it, went on about my day. It's like, who do I think I am? I never thought this could happen. So it's been a whirlwind. The other day, somebody hit me up on Instagram and said, "Hey, are you on a ranch? Did you buy a ranch?" And I wish I did, but it does feel like that's the lifestyle I'm living.
Yeah. Well, be careful. It could become permanent. You could buy a ranch.
I know. You think about it, people like Dave Chappelle, he lives in Ohio. He lives in the middle of nowhere with his family because that's what keeps him sane. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a mountain lady. What's happening?
Whoa, that's just an exciting development. Not what I thought was going to happen. I spent a lot of time there as a teen in the Poconos.
Yeah.
So I'm very familiar with that terrain and spending time in an A-frame and being out on the lake in a canoe.
Yeah, that good mountain air. I like it.
Yeah, I rolled a moped there. I went to a teen dance night at the Mount Airy Lodge.
Risque.
Yeah. Pretty happening fella for a young man. What were you scared of the snake though? Were you cautious around it?
I wasn't that scared. I've seen a few since I've been here, and it's crazy how quickly you adapt when your life changes. Because in New York, any type of bug freaks me out. But now I'm talking to bugs. I'm like, "What's up? You trying to get in here?" I know it's cool inside. I know.
Well, I think this is interesting because it may also expand your realm of references for comedy because you are involved in the Friars Club. Is that okay to talk about?
Yeah, it is. I am a
Okay.
friar.
That's pretty exciting. Traditionally, kind of what I would assume is an old white guy club, but maybe they've changed it.
It is. It is. I am definitely the diversity portion of the Friars Club. I remember thinking that when I got inducted that maybe I was the youngest, but they actually checked the book and it was like the youngest was a 18-year-old singer from like Berlin that they had made a friar. And I was like, interesting. But yeah, it's even walking around there, it feels like I shouldn't bump into things. Like maybe I'll break something. It's this incredible mansion in the middle of New York City that's just old and has butlers. And sometimes I go and sit in it and write things. It's weird.
This sounds very weird, and I'm a little jealous. But do you find yourself maybe feeling like you want to roast some of the animals you come across?
Oh yes, of course. If anything, becoming a friar got my roasting skills up high.
Right.
Anybody could get it. Nobody's safe.
Right. Well, I spent a lot of time here at the HQ looking out this window because that's where my desk is. And this is my kitchen table, my business table, my everything. And I look out this window and I just am fascinated by the social life of this tree. And I'm trying to understand the community of it. Like, how far do squirrels go? Do the same
Right.
squirrels come back? Do they live in a hole? Nobody has studied squirrels to my knowledge, so maybe no one knows. But that's the kind of thing that you could be paying attention to and then also kind of sticking it to them.
And I have been, we have a really cool pond in our backyard. It has about 40 fish. Some are koi, some are catfish, some are like various kinds we don't know. And we just have been wondering, are they experiencing the same type of civil unrest that the rest of the world is going through? Like,
Yeah.
are they stressed out? What type of things are happening in this society that we're not privy to. And also, let's really think about it. Let's do their voices and pretend to be various types of fish until we sort it out.
Yeah, yeah. I think I would be most nervous to approach a walleye, but it might be the kind of thing where if you can at least open up a dialogue with them, they might be willing to change some of their kind of old ideas about the pond.
You just got to find common ground. That's all that is.
You do. I don't trust a perch.
I didn't know you had these type of prejudices, but here we are.
But if you want to get into it, as I said, I spent some time there as a teen. I'm no stranger to ponds in the Poconos.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, interesting's a strong word. But now, speaking of homes, we probably talked about this before, but we're both from Philadelphia.
Yes.
Yeah. And yes. And I got to say, I'm for tearing all of these statues down. But the one I was most excited for was that Frank Rizzo sculpture, that statue. Oh. I loved it.
Get out of here. Yeah. And also, it's just been up for so long. It's in such a prime spot of the city that you can't really not go anywhere without passing it. And it's just an eyesore. Honestly, it was just not in front of the big police department building. I was like, get it out of here.
Get it out of there. And, listen, I'm no fan of public art in general, but I think there's an opportunity here for the statues to either be replaced. And I don't know if you have suggestions for that. My personal idea is that they would be maybe a little cuter and do more. Be a little less racist and do more. Like light up.
There's certain parts of being a Philadelphian that we don't acknowledge enough. I want a full-size statue of every person in the Roots. The whole Roots crew, I want it. I want, well, we already have a Rocky statue, but, like, let's get the crazy guy from the Phillies. What's his name? Grizzly or something?
Oh, from the Flyer, Gritty. Yeah.
Yes, let's get him in there. Yeah. M. Night Shyamalan, very underrated Philadelphia native. Get him in there. Tina Fey, uptown, not right on the outskirts.
Upper Darby, right? Upper Darby.
Why not a whole cheesesteak statue? Let's get crazy. It's just like, why do we have to make it such a thing? Why can't it just be a thing that everybody agrees on? Yes. Night Shyamalan is interesting.
Yes. So I'm seeing a light up cheesesteak as the gateway to Philadelphia.
Let's unite us all with steak and cheese, bread.
It's all I've ever wanted, Chanel. Well, we were talking about advice earlier. Do you have any good advice?
Oh, so much advice. I don't even know where to start. But if anything, I can tell everybody, don't be worried if things bother you. If you see things and it bothers you, don't feel bad about being bothered, because that's just a sign that you have a good heart and that you want things to change.
That's very good advice, Chanel. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you being here, joining us from the mountain resort. This has been terrific. And people can get the album, Chanel #1, everywhere, as you said, even on Napster. But do you get money if you get it on Napster?
I better, or else lawsuit. Yeah.
That's right. You'll be responsible for bringing Napster down a second time.
I'll do it.
I don't doubt it. Well, Chanel, thank you so much for being here. It's lovely to see you.
See you soon.
Okay, take care. Wonderful. Now, we're bringing things home tonight with our next marvelous guest joining us from Los Angeles. You've seen her on a Black Lady sketch show, Shrill, The Opposition with Jordan Klepper, Grace and Frankie, and an episode of one of my favorite shows, Casey Undercover. Here she is, Nicole Thurman.
Hi.
Hi, Nicole.
How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I can't believe you said Casey Undercover is one of your favorite shows. That's great.
Oh, yes. I followed along all the way through. Zendaya,
awesome.
Just doing great work.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
She's everywhere. It's amazing.
Yeah. Teenage Spies. Yeah. I love it.
That's right. It's fun. Yeah, it's really fun.
Yes. Now, I don't know how things are on the West Coast. I lived there for a time, and now we also have the helicopters, and it's making me feel a little nostalgic for my time in LA.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a very common sound in Los Angeles. If after a while, especially like the last couple of weeks when the protests and rioting was kind of happening, that was like almost like white noise. It was just, they just fly over your head and like circle over your head for hours. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's a lot.
you'll miss it when you leave, I guess. But yeah, I kind of like the white noise of it. So I'm just like, oh, whatever. You know, at first I'm like, what are they doing? And then I'm just like, they could stay for a little bit.
Yep. Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
Now we don't have the earthquake scares or the constant fear of wildfires, of course, but we're only halfway through 2020. So
Yeah, I mean, the
guess-
thing is this, you never know. An earthquake could hit New York tomorrow just because. Like,
Oh.
it could just be whatever. The way things are
Yes.
going, we have murder hornets, we have everything just happening at once. So you
Did-
never know.
Did you have a plan for 2020?
Yeah, I had a ton of plans for 2020. It's really funny actually that you say that, because I like got really intense at the end of 2019, and I was like, I have all these goals, and I'm gonna make all these goals. So I wrote like a bunch of like lists almost of like things that I want to accomplish and how I want to accomplish them, and just like little, you know, inspiring sayings. And so every morning when I get out of bed, it's just on the wall. And when everything started getting so crazy, I was like, should I just take this stuff off the wall? I was like, do we have goals anymore, or do we just kind of like want to make it through to the end of the year? Is that the goal now? You know?
I think so. Yes, a lot of vision boards have to be maybe just turned around and placed against the wall for a.
Yeah, we're gonna put them against the wall. We're gonna turn it around, and like, don't give up hope, but just like don't necessarily get mad that you're not accomplishing things on your vision boards. It's not happening right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's makes me wonder about this. How are you doing mentally? Because I know there's a lot of grief, there's a lot of pain, a desire for change, but also a lot of, oh my gosh, how did I just waste 3 hours staring at the wall?
Oh my gosh, I've been so bad. Like I'm really bad about, like, I'm really into Twitter, and so I end up just like refreshing Twitter and looking at my feed all day and like getting really into social media. But like, honestly, to be honest, I have been weirdly calm and positive throughout this whole experience. Like, I feel a little bit like, sorry, my noise canceling is off. It's making me not hear my voice. Okay. But I have been like, I think it's like this weird thing, like where when you're kind of an anxious, neurotic person, then all of a sudden it's like everyone is on your level because everything is so crazy. It's all of the bad things that you kind of picture in your head, except for more, because I never pictured pandemic in my head. And so like, there's something in this weird way that's been like, well, it's all so out of control that I can't even be stressed about it, because it's just like, it is what it is.
Yes.
So it's been a little bit of that. It's completely overwhelming. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you try to control it, if you try to be like, what's it going to be like next week? Or like, when is it going to be different? Or when am I going to work again? Or whatever, then you're going to go crazy, because we have no control over it. So I've really just been trying to, like, I don't know, get through day to day, not focus too big picture, because there's no point. We're all, and one thing that's kind of nice and scary, I guess, but like nice in my opinion, is that we're all a little lost and a little bit like not knowing what's happening. We don't know what's happening with anything. Kids, work, like, what are we doing? We don't know. And so that part to me has actually felt kind of nice, and kind of just like, it's a reset. If you take it as a reset, it just depends on how you're like, you get it in your head about it. If you can just think of it as like a reset, or just like a time to like really slow down, because we don't slow down. I mean, New York, LA, Chicago, it's like, we're all just going and hustling all the time, because that's like our vibe. But maybe if we just take this moment to be like, I'll never have this time again, when I'm not working, and I don't even really have to feel guilty about it, because there's no job to be looking for right now, you know? So that, I don't know. So I've been kind of just like chill.
Oh, that's
long
good.
answer, but you know.
No, and I understand it. There's the overwhelmingness of the big picture, but there's also we can focus on small things and try to get through those. In fact, you are a keen observer of nuance and little character moments. And I was wondering, first of all, where do you think that comes from?
I think the truthful answer is it comes from me being very judgy in my mind. And like, I'm a very like, I get like bothered by like weird or annoying things that people do easily. And so I'm constantly like watching, like, if you're talking about like videos or things that I make, like a lot of that kind of comedy or like my tweets or whatever, they come from me. Like I'll be sitting in like line with somebody that's just like being annoying and like saying, like just acting in a certain way. And I'm like, oh my God. And so then it's like, I joke about that because it's like a way to like kind of like release it and just like kind of laugh it off as opposed to just being frustrated by people all the time. So I just am constantly observing people. And maybe it's like an actor thing too, of just like, you see people, you're always kind of watching them and watching their behaviors, and you start to just notice their little quirks and things.
Right. Well, I would think
Yeah.
Zoom would also be good for that because we're all just looking at each other all the time.
Yeah.
Just watching what happens.
Yeah, we're watching what happens. We're watching ourselves, because I think that's a big thing that people talk about too, is that you're constantly like worried about being engaged and like how you're perceived and, you know, whatever it is. And so it is really interesting, like just watching people. And this pandemic has been interesting for observing people too, because I mean, some people, they just cannot handle it because they need to be around people or they need to be, you know, on stage or whatever it is. And having to be at home and kind of like face to face with just yourself at home, it's hard for some people. And so I've been noticing a lot of that too.
It certainly can be. And we're trying to use this platform for everything. I had a Zoom physical the other day. And
I had a big little telehealth thing.
Yes. They called and said, you need to have your physical. So I said, fine. And the doctor came on. She said, let's forget this never happened or this ever happened, which is not the first time a doctor has said that to me. But this was the thing. She said, we can't do this. I can't do a physical online. It just doesn't, which when you say it out loud makes perfect sense. Of course they can't. What are they going to do? But it was awkward. You can't do everything on this thing.
Yeah, that's too much. Yeah, I had one doctor's appointment, but it was like a dermatologist, and I was just like, "What's this?" Like, she's like, "I mean, it looks fine, but then again, we're through a computer. I have no idea." So yeah, it's crazy.
Now, I thought we would do one quick Zoom game here together, because I can find you, and you can tell a lot about a person by what's within reach. So because I don't know what else is around there, we're just going to reach for one thing. It has to be reachable, and then bring it into the screen. So are you ready? You just can't get up. It just has to be right there, and we'll just see what's there out of frame. All right.
Exciting. I have a lot of crap on this table, but it's all like weird stuff.
All right, that's nothing. Let's just grab one thing. Okay. Oh, that's nice. You have a little stress reliever thing there.
Yeah, a little lacrosse ball. You can roll up your shoulder and stuff out. I always hurt myself. That's what this is. I hurt myself all the time.
Oh my goodness. That's good for the if you have the plantar fasciitis, you can roll your foot on that. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I have my pillow, and
what is it?
If you do this. There's
oh my God, I love it.
Yeah. So that's just something I have.
Yours is way cooler.
At the ready, always here. I live from
you're
this
just like,
desk.
you played a game so that you could show a cool pillow with your face on it, I think. You tricked me.
Maybe. I have other things I could grab too, but now the future, though, it's a little, as you said, everything's uncertain, everything's up for grabs. It's not exactly what I was picturing because I didn't imagine it, just as you said. But in the news today, I gather scientists were talking that there's a black hole that they watched spit out some kind of blob, which I'm very intrigued by. If that's a new universe, I'd be very interested in getting in on the ground floor of a blob community. Put me out there. Right? Great.
It's like you can make a fun sitcom like Meet the Blobs, and it's just like the Blob family chilling in the black hole.
Yes, please.
Why not?
Sign me up.
Like, why not?
I'm SAG. I could do it. And then B, they said there's 36 intelligent civilizations out there in the Milky Way.
Really?
Really?
How do they know that? Is it from do the astronauts go and like hang out with them and then don't take pictures but come back?
I don't know how they got to that number, but I also don't know how Chanel knew there were 40 fish in that pond. I guess you just make a reasonable guess.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
There. But would you be excited to meet an alien?
It depends. I mean, if it was ET, absolutely.
Yep.
You know, like ET, you know, that alien. Yep. Because he was so cute, and you could put him in a little dress, and he'd be like, Elliot, that's cute. But I don't know. I mean, it's hard. It's like, what if they were really mean or like destroyed Earth? I mean, I don't know. My anxiety says you don't want to meet an alien because they're probably going to be mean and like destroy Earth. But it might be cool, and it might be. I think it'd be cool to be able to just like see them or to see other planets just in general, because that's just a crazy concept even to think about space and other planets and other worlds like that.
I love it.
What were the blobs? Like, what are the blobs? They're aliens supposed like.
We don't know. We don't know what's happening out there. What we need is one of the Insta-date lives for the alien, that you could just an Instagram live show where you just pop in and see what's going on, and then say, okay, no, I don't want to see you in a little dress, or whatever the case may be. Now, working on The Opposition, that show, do you feel like that prepared you at all for seeing the level of idiocy that we're having in elected officials?
Yeah, I think it's actually interesting because that show was on first season, and it was 2017 to 2018. So it was like after Trump had gotten elected and before, I mean, when stuff was like really starting to get real, it felt like. And I think it started to get to a point where there was no parodying conservatives because conservatives had gotten so extreme within themselves. And I think that's part of the reason why the show isn't on anymore. And I think you definitely could see it coming. I think it's what always still fascinates me though, is that how the Republicans continue to support him or just like not stop Trump. That's to me where it gets like, I never thought it would go that far just for a win, because a lot of it just feels like they're just gunning for the win as opposed to thinking about the future or about the people. And I think as much as I thought it was going to get crazy, it got even crazier. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when we're at the level of, there's no cases if there's no tests. I mean, if there's no scale, I haven't gained any weight.
Right. True. Great. We're all thin and healthy.
I love the idea, but in practice, it's not so good.
And it's so weird when you see things like he was talking about if we do mail-in ballots, the Republicans will lose. And I'm like, bro, you're saying the quiet part out loud. Like you're giving away that you guys are cheating. Like it's just like everything. It feels so like he just says whatever he wants. He's like, I'm gonna win regardless, no matter what. And it's like you're winning, but everybody sees the machine and they see all the lies. And for some reason, it's not stopping. It's just continuing to be piled on and piled on. And that's where it gets like, where's the limit here? Like, where are the goalposts? They keep moving for what's bad.
Right.
Yeah.
But and we don't know. And gosh, I hope we get out of it. But on a lighter note, you've been working on the Grace and Frankie show.
Yeah, I'm going to be on a couple episodes of that next season. It's going to be their last season. It's great. That's like the last thing I did before all of this happened. I'm so lucky that I got to finish those jobs before this.
That's and you got to be careful around those ladies too, because legends on that show can't be coughing near them.
It was so funny. Yeah, Jane Fonda's. I worked with only Jane and Peter Gallagher, and they're both just like the best. Like Jane is so Jane Fonda in like the best way. She's just like kind of intense but really nice, and like she was like writing a book before we would shoot, and then she's like calling her friend and talking about like coronavirus and global warming. She's just like, she's like nonstop. And Peter Gallagher's just like the most lovely human being. So it was really nice. I felt really welcome there. It was great.
Well, and we hope that things start up, but in a safe way. Do you miss, not in a safe way store? I mean, in a way that is safe. Although you were in the superstore thing too, right? That was.
I've been in the store. I know how to stock some groceries. Why not?
Yeah. But what will you miss? What do you miss most about being on set?
I miss being on set, because that's the thing, is like acting is a lot of it's just auditioning and shuffling and, rejection or getting close to what you want and then not getting it. But I really miss working. And I really do feel like I was starting to get like, because I had been on the opposition, and then in the last couple of years, I've just been kind of taking jobs here and there and just working intermittently, which I'm so hungry for work that when I'm like done with my 2 days on set, I get like, oh, I want to work again, So I feel like I was like getting this nice momentum going again. So I'm just really excited to like be able to get back on set. And I feel like I'm going to go back with like this like renewed energy from just having this break and knowing that I want to come back. I think that's important, because I think some people are like, do I want to come back. And I'm like, I want to. So I think it'll be nice to get back on set and just work again. I love working. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I realized the other day that I get excited when it's Monday because it's a work day, even though we're not even working right now. But it's like I get excited because I love Monday. I'm just like, I love working.
That's the opposite Garfield effect, I think, what's happening there. Well, that's terrific. And you have some plans for the solstice or anything?
I mean, I've heard you guys talk about, when is the solstice? It's coming up?
Yes, this weekend, I think, 20th, 21st.
Summer solstice?
That's the one. Real long day.
The real long day. No, I have no plans.
Good.
Maybe go for a nice long walk, which is pretty much my plan every day.
It sounds
nothing
good.
that exciting.
Well, Nicole, it's been so nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Yes, terrific. And be well. Take care out there.
Okay,
and I'm sure
thank
things will
you.
get back at some point. And now I'd like to thank all of our guests for being here. Jen and Claire, Young Me, Chanel, Nicole, thanks to Shannon for producing, and thanks to everyone out there for tuning in. Remember that although this night is ending, a bright new day is just ahead. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Just wait till we're clear.